Handing a struggling student another dense worksheet doesn't close learning gaps. When a child lacks foundational number sense, blind repetition often only reinforces their frustration. Placing heavy, grade-level expectations onto an incomplete foundation puts the entire structure at risk of failing under the pressure. At the end of the setup, you will have 3 concrete tools in hand: a completed student profile, a targeted teaching strategy, and a visual tracking graph to measure progress. Before we begin, grab your printed teacher toolkit, a completed Unit 1 diagnostic for your student, and basic concrete manipulatives like base 10 blocks or counters. Shifting to a diagnostic-based intervention allows you to identify and address the specific gaps that prevent a student from keeping pace with grade-level content. Step 1 is assessing the starting point. Lay out your student's completed Unit 1 diagnostic and scan the entire page to observe their overall approach to the problems. Next, isolate one specific missed multi-digit addition or word problem. Check their Scratchpad workspace for clues on their thought process. Marking the problem with a red X confirms the final answer is incorrect, but it offers no insight into the specific point where the mathematical process broke down. To find that breakdown, use the error analysis protocol. It categorizes mistakes into 4 types: factual, procedural, conceptual, and careless. A factual error is recalling the wrong math fact. A procedural error is following the wrong steps. Conceptual means they don't understand the operation, while careless is a sloppy transcription. Review the workspace carefully. Sometimes a messy handwriting error can hide the fact that a student actually understands the underlying math. Once you've identified the root cause, open the Student Intervention Profile and record the primary gap you've discovered. Use that gap to set a measurable goal. If the student struggles with regrouping procedures, the 6-week goal should focus specifically on mastering multi-digit addition. Correctly identifying the reason behind a mistake is the prerequisite for choosing an intervention path that effectively addresses the student's needs. With the profile complete, we can now match the student to a specific instructional intervention strategy. Students who are 2 or more grade levels behind require Tier 3, or intensive intervention. For Tier 3, use physical base 10 blocks directly on the worksheet. The student must manipulate the physical values before attempting to translate them into numbers. If a student is roughly 1 grade level behind, they are placed in Tier 2 for strategic intervention. In Tier 2, use the printed visual models. Guide the student through the first 3 problems to ensure they properly apply the strategy to the page. Avoid starting Tier 3 students on paper models too early. Without that tactile foundation, they often struggle to make sense of the drawings. This entire system is built on the CRA model, moving from concrete blocks to representational drawings and finally to abstract numbers. Aligning the tool to the student's specific tier helps rebuild the structural logic of math rather than relying on rote memorization. After the first week of intervention, it's time to use the Unit 6 progress tracking graph. Chart the first week's data by shading the graph to reflect the student's initial fluency score. As you record the second week, the upward movement of the bars provides a clear visual of the student's progress. It is important to let the student shade this graph themselves. This builds a sense of ownership over their own learning.
Seeing their own growth in real time can transform a student from a passive learner into an active participant in their mathematical recovery. Your 6-week intervention cycle is now established, moving the focus from a blank diagnostic to an active plan for growth. This tracking system is designed to visualize the student's path as they work toward their specific mastery target. When the goal is met, use the Certificate of Achievement to recognize the student's effort and perseverance. Finally, use the teacher reflection page to plan how the student will reintegrate into the rest of the class. The ultimate goal is to build enough foundational skill so the student can thrive in Tier 1 core instruction with a resilient mathematical foundation.